This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning. We're going to call to order the Town of Ocean Ridge Special Magistrate Code Enforcement hearing for October 5th already today. Good grief. It is 10 a.m. First order of business on the agenda is adoption of the September 7th, 2021 meeting minutes. I reviewed the minutes. There's no changes, so I'll go ahead and adopt those as drafted. Second order of business is to swear everybody in who's going to testify on behalf of any items today. So the town staff, and I assume you are all the respondents in the case on the agenda. Can you stand and raise your right hands for me? Mr. Guy, could you also raise your right hand for me? You all swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. It looks like we have one status/fine assessment hearing on today's agenda. So the way it's going to work is as soon as I call the case, you all can come to the podium and give me your appearances. The town will be able to present its case first. Then you will have an opportunity to speak, ask any questions, present any testimony or evidence that you would like for me to hear and consider. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. That's why I swore you in. So everything you say today is testimony under oath. So be sure to tell the truth. If you have any questions, let me know. The formal rules of evidence do not apply. This is not as official as court, but you are testifying under oath. So just be aware of that. At the end of the presentation of both the town side and your side, I will make a formal ruling. And you will get a subsequent order in the mail. So with that, I'll turn it over to the town for the first case.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is the property located at 8 Inlet Cave in the town of Ocean Ridge. Property owners are Albert.
Excuse me, my husband can't hear. He's got a hearing problem. I don't think the microphones.
Oh, are they working? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to work. This case, the only case on today's agenda is for the property located at 8 Inlet Cave in the town of Ocean Ridge. The property owners are Albert and Patricia Throwers as the trustees. The property was brought before the magistrate on August 3rd this year for violation hearing of Town Code Section 64-77 for installing a floating dock that encroaches in the required 10-foot setback. The order finding the violation was entered, requiring compliance by October 4th or a fine amount of $100 per day. Today's hearing was set in that final, initial order, which was served on the respondents by certified mail that was claimed. The respondents have filed an application to have this heard by the town's Board of Adjustment. That hearing is currently set for November 17th. We can hear from the respondents that the town is willing to continue assessing the fine until December 6th, which would give them until the November 17th Board of Adjustment hearing to see if they're granted the variance, and if not, a period of time after that to bring it into compliance with the setback requirement. The respondent has paid the cost from the initial hearing. For today's hearing, the town is seeking a cost of $124.
And can you all approach the podium?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my husband did not hear your original statement because of his hearing problem.
Yeah, the mic was off and I couldn't hear you in the beginning.
Okay, so this is the time. The only thing I said was that the town would present its case first, and then you all would have the opportunity to present your side of the story. So now that is your time. If you have any questions along the way of the town or of me, ask them. At the end of this, based on the testimony that I hear today, I'll make a finding. Excuse me, I will issue an order with my findings and conclusions of law. But if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. But now you can go ahead and give me your side, give me your update, where you are, if you have anything additional to add.
Really, it was just that.
No, I think that we don't have much to say other than living here for 40 some odd years and knowing that the town has had codes that have been enforced and rightfully so. I think at this point in time, I would like to quote from a local newspaper article regarding a similar case in a different town.
Can I just, for one quick second, can you state your names? Are you the respondent or are you the neighbor?
What's that?
We are the neighbors. We are at 7 Inlet K, Nancy
7 Inlet K.
Guilford, Fornatura.
So I would just like to quote one paragraph or one statement from that article, if you haven't seen it. And it says, Mayor blank said a variance would be a special privilege that would set a precedent, opening the door for more variance requests and disruption of the town's building codes. The request for a variance in that case was denied unanimously to maintain the building codes of the town and not have a creeping violation situation where once you open the door, it's very difficult to put it back in the can.
Understood.
That's the main-
What is your address? So you're not actually the respondent. You don't live at 8 Inlet K. You
No,
live next
we're-
door.
It's not, we're number 7.
Number 7. And spell your names for me.
FORNATORA, Gilbert, GILBERT, and Nancy, NANCY.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd like to say is that with all of the things that we have had facing us on that street, we have in all cases inquired of the town what the building codes were before we embarked on any kind of an adjustment to the property.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
So we were sure that the
That's-
town code was known to us before we did anything.
Okay. Thank you for your
Thank
comments. Has the town had any interaction with the respondents since the last hearing?
Yes, we have. They are set to go before they will be going before the Board of Adjustment on November 17th. They confirmed that they will be there. They're still out of town at this moment.
Okay, so they're still.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are you aware of the Board of Adjustment hearing that's coming up on this issue?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So the respondents, the owners of 8 Inlet K, submitted an application for the variance that you mentioned. It's going to be heard by the town's Board of Adjustment on November 17th. What, do you know, Carla, what time that is? It's going to be at 9 a.m. The application was just certified last week, and you're in the process of actually receiving the mail. So you should be receiving something in the mail within about a week or so. So it's going to be November 17th at 9 a.m. right here.
Okay, very good. But is there something that we need to do in response to that, or is it just?
So what they're requesting is, this is about the floating dock. It encroaches into the 10-foot required setback. So their variance application is to ask that they be allowed to encroach in that setback. So if you want to address that issue and object to the variance, you should definitely come to the Board of Adjustment hearing.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir?
In those documents that you have, when you say they want an adjustment to the setback, how much of an adjustment and how far to the property line?
They want to put it within 3 feet.
Within
So
three?
it will be, if they get granted the variance, it will be 3 feet from the property
So they want to go from 10 feet to 3 feet.
line.
So that means my property line that extends out from my property, they want to go 3 feet on, next to my property.
They want a relief of 7 feet, so it will create a 3 feet. That will be there.
And what restrictions are they asking for on the placement of that floating dock? What can they put there? A 10-foot tall boat?
So if you want to see me afterwards, I'm more than happy to show you the variance application. It's a record request. I can have you take a look and see everything that they submitted and read their exhibits as
So
well.
I'm asking the question now, what, in their request,
Mhm.
what are they requesting? A floating dock for what?
It's the floating dock that's there now.
So that exists now, well, that's at the, I believe, already at the property line.
Right, so
So how do they
they're
use it?
saying that the placement is 3 feet away from your property line. So they have to request the variance to waive the 7 feet because it should be 10 feet away from your property line.
Next question. There has to be justification to request a variance, or can you just request one because that's what you want?
And what Carla Armstrong has offered is to look at their application, and yes, all applications for variance require justification and the showing of a hardship. And
what
they've documented
justification-
that in their application, which you should read to understand what they're claiming.
And what justification or hardship do they claim?
I would recommend that you read their application. I don't want to make a misrepresentation of their
No,
application.
I know it's not up to you, I'm just asking if it was included in the document.
It is included.
Does this include the stanchions that are
On the
of the
seawall.
structure that are on the seawall that are within the 10 feet?
Probably best to look at the application again.
Yeah, again, as town clerk stated, this was recently submitted and approved. I personally have not gone through the application, but it is here for your perusal. And, everything that they claim or state is there for you to take a look at. And it's probably in your best interest to do that.
Next
And
one.
would we need a lawyer? Is that?
You don't need a lawyer. You can come because it will be a public quasi judicial hearing, just like this one today, and you will be allowed to make public comment.
And if for some reason you can't make it to the meetings, let's say, something happens, you can always write me beforehand if you object, the reasons for you objecting, and I do read it into record as well.
Very good.
Next question. To do the work that they did to put it within, right up to my property line, they had to put an insulation on the seawall and on the floating area. Did they pull a permit for that job?
I don't believe, the building official can probably speak to that, but I don't believe there was a
So
permit.
no permit was applied for or approved for this. This is what this whole case is about.
Okay.
So it's my understanding, and I was told many years ago, if you don't pull a permit, you're in violation of town rules, right?
And that's why they're here today. That's why the case is on the agenda for today. This is code enforcement today. So that's for failure to pull that permit.
Okay, but I'm questioning whether it's the floating dock as well as the stanchions to which the floating dock are attached that are also within the 10-foot encroachment. Does it include that as well as just the actual dock that's on the water and moves back and forth?
So without looking at the application, my understanding is that they intend to keep the structure exactly the way it is, which now includes 2 stanchions, I guess, for a handle. So that they do intend based on their
There,
original intent.
But again, the best way to check that is to do what the town staff has recommended, which is to review the application that's been submitted.
very good.
Do that as
Thank you.
part
I
of
just
the public
needed that understanding. of
Yes,
what
ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further from the town?
I don't believe so.
So in essence, what the town is asking for is or amenable to is a continuance to some time frame before the December hearing to see how the variance
hearing is
proceeds.
November 17th, and we're asking to extend the period for compliance to December 6th. So if they're not granted the variance, they have a period of time to actually remove the floating dock.
Okay, and then appearance at the 12/7
Yes.
fine assessment hearing. And is the town's preference to maintain the previous fine amount, which I believe was $100?
$100 per day. I believe so. Not going to change that.
All right, case 2021-008, I find that notice of this morning's hearing is sufficient, there's good service. I will grant a continuance, given the pending variance application that's to be heard in November. I'll require respondents who remain in violation of section 64-77 to comply with that section on or before December 6th, or appear at the December 7th fine assessment hearing. If compliance is not achieved by December 6th, I will assess a fine in the amount of $100 per day until compliance is achieved. And I will award the town its administrative costs for this morning's hearing in the amount of $124 payable within 30 days.
Thank you.
And seeing nothing else on the agenda, I will adjourn this morning's hearing at 10:14.
Thank you.